If you've never seen me before, this is the best way I can describe myself. I am the guy who says the quiet part out loud. Simple as that. I don't do it for clickbait. I don't do it for rage bait or any other type of bait. I just do it because it has to be said. Somebody's got to say some of these things. And what I'm about to get into today is probably going to be one of my more quote unquote controversial subjects just because we've made a taboo to talk about these things. These conversations have been gatekept and people have created all sorts of taboo and fear and stigma around them, right? If you say these things, you are a sellout and you are no longer part of the group. Well, guess what? I done revoked my damn quote unquote black card a long time ago. It done been revoked, right? It's been canceled. My membership has been gone for a while now. So I'm okay telling it as it is. Here it is. Every relevant empire and even many irrelevant empires throughout history had slaves. Yeah. Now I can already hear that mental chatter going the hell up, but you don't, how dare you? You don't understand. The chattel slavery was the worst form of slavery. The black man has experienced worse slavery than anybody else. Yeah, here's the thing. All slavery is a terrible idea. It is inhumane, and I am thankful that we have mostly evolved our way out of the concept of viewing a human being as a piece of property. But I will say this. In Africa, western part of Africa more specifically, Côte d'Ivoire, Ivory Coast area, there was a tribe of people known as Dahomies. I'm not making this up. I did an entire video known as Dahomey tribe, who not only treated their slaves terribly, but would literally sacrifice them. Let's say if a family member of royalty, the chieftain, whoever it was, were to pass away, 4,000 slaves would be brutally massacred. Now we can go down to South America where we have the Aztecs, the Toltecs, etc. And we have human sacrifice taking place. Who do you think was being sacrificed up there at the top of those pyramids, right? Hearts being pulled out in real time, rolled down the stairs, a sacrifice to the gods, or burnt as an offering, a sacrifice to the gods. These were enslaved people, servants if you want to call them. They were less than livestock. They were low as dirt in these societies. Now, the reason I bring this up is not to belittle chattel slavery, but it is to say, folks, we have had a dark human history and we have been able to overcome these aspects of history. And in many cases, quite rapidly, communities of people who have gone through extremely traumatizing situations, right, have been able to overcome those. A great example as just an analogy is the story of, what's his name, Viktor Frankl, right, within Auschwitz. A man who saw family members essentially being unalived right in front of him, who experienced some of the greatest trauma. And this man came out of one of those camps and became not only a prolific individual, as far as, psychologist, a writer, a speaker, but was somebody who had a level of resilience and a level of personal agency that you don't find in most people who haven't been through 1% of that, right? Most people would just be victimized for the rest of their life. This man did not see himself as this victim. He saw himself as a victor, somebody who conquered even the most difficult, tumultuous aspects of his life. Again, many people are going to be victimized in ways, but are you going to carry that with you throughout life? And so when we get into the conversation of slavery, we can even talk about colonization and things of that nature. But slavery is really the hotbed because it's the one that's pushed the most. It's the one that is used to emotionalize people. Race hustlers, white liberals, these groups of individuals benefit from this continued perpetual story of you're a slave, and that's why you are in the place that you are. Right? Taking away the reality that even after or even at the end and in the midst of slavery, there were black folk who were able to not only do for self, but were able to create lives that were far beyond their white counterparts who genuinely had a more than a leg up, we could say, right? Well, a little more than just privilege at those times. When the Democratic Party was trying to keep slavery intact and then created Jim Crow laws, and we step into the Jim Crow era, and you still have black folk who are thriving in those spaces, even though you have this Democratic Party who is trying to eradicate and crush any element that is not of their own, right? You have people who are prospering in those times, and we fast forward to 2024, and now we want to talk about this is the result of slavery. This is the result of culture. It's the result of this isn't the byproduct of racism, because an individual who goes through let's say a lifetime's worth of just the most brutal racism can still come out on the other side and create something for themselves, build a life, become successful, thrive, get married and have children, have a family, right? We now live in a day and age where these things are more rare than they are the norm, where the family unit is broken apart. Yet in slavery, you had more families together than you do today. And again, I am going to highlight some of the more specific things that happened as far as policy, but the most relevant one is Lyndon Baines Johnson, LBJ, Democratic president in 1964, right after JFK was assassinated. He signs the Civil Rights Act after he's forced into it. I say this story every time like this because we can't negate the actual history. We always just kind of leave these gaps. No, we're not going to do that. We're going to attribute the cause to the person who created. So we have the Republican House and the Republican Senate, or majority Republican House, majority Republican Senate, that pushed the Civil Rights Act through, right? As they usually did. In the same way, in 1965, they were the ones who pushed through Emancipation Proclamation. It's been in their DNA the entire time. 1954, creation of the Democratic Party for the purpose of the eradication of slavery. But I digress. So we got LBJ in 64. We step into 65, and now this man is signing all these reform. All of a sudden, he's a reform man, right? He loves black people. He used to be a staunch racist. Now he loves black folk. And so he is essentially creating bills that are welfare reform, social programs, etc. His intention was to make sure this group of people was relying upon government, which is what most totalitarian style governments do anyway, right? They want as much control as humanly possible. And so that's exactly what they did. And they pushed incentive programs to make sure that families were broken apart. They didn't say break apart your families, but if you have kids and you have no man in the house, no husband, you're going to get more of a bonus from us. You're going to get more money. So imagine you're now in a situation where that's not only being incentivized, but it's being normalized. It's okay to do that. Leave that man because he's a problem anyway. And the government can give you more money than that man ever could bring into the house. And that happens 1 generation, 2 generation, 3 generation, 4. And all of a sudden we find ourselves in a place where it's a normalized thing. That's why I get to culture. The likes of a Thomas Sowell, one of the most brilliant minds of all time, speaks on culture for this reason. Culture is the way in which your beliefs, your value system, your morality, right? When you have a culture that incentivizes, or at the very least does not make criminal behavior taboo, you're going to have criminal elements within your environment. It is only when you make it taboo, you make it something shameful. You go into the Japanese culture, etc. Even the poor of the Japanese, stealing is not an option for you. Singapore, you might get your damn hand cut off. You understand? They're not going to play about these things. Even the poor, the destitute, those living in rural surroundings, those who might be making $2 a day or $1 a day. You don't find that, just because they're poor, they're criminal. It's one of the greatest misconceptions, if not a lie, that has been perpetuated to say that, poverty creates criminality. No. Somebody said in my comment section on one of my more recent videos, they said that's very insulting to a lot of poor folks. And I agree. It should be insulting if you are somebody living in abject poverty to say that you, who is a law-abiding citizen, who has a moral compass and a value system that won't allow you to do certain things, to live a certain way. You still have poor folks, but there's family units. You go out in them rice fields in China or something like that, right? You have a mother and a father and a child, or children, whatever it may look like, because that's a cultural normality. And so when we point to slavery did it, slavery did a lot of things, and it did it did a lot of psychological harm. But there's also been a lot of those psychological barriers being broken throughout time. There are those who made a decision to go beyond it, to break those generational curses. So when you are somebody who subscribes to that, let's say you do have trauma that's been passed down generation to generation, why not be the person who chooses to break free from that trauma, but instead cling to that trauma for dear life? Why not choose to be the difference maker within your own lineage? Again, I'm not going to take away from the fact that your ancestors, my ancestors, went through what they went through. We only had independence in 1980. My dad was in the first class of integrated peoples in his school in a colonized society. All they knew was colonial Zimbabwe. That's all they knew. And so for them, they had to break out of a lot of these psychological trappings, but he made sure to break those generational curses in order not to pass those things down to us. Don't give us that trauma. And maybe some people are just too selfish. Maybe they don't care. Maybe they want to be a victim and they don't give a damn what happens to the children. But I do. And I know a lot of people who do. I know a lot of people who are now looking to pass their own trauma to the next and the next, who their mama used to be a 304. And so they say, you know what? I'm not interested in that. I'm not interested in the mental, emotional, and the physical degeneracy that comes from that. Thankfully, I'm seeing a lot of that in the Gen Z, right? There's a divide as per usual, but there are those who are like, I'm not about to do what my big sister or my big cousins were doing, being for the streets. I'm not about to, you know what I mean? I'm not about to gangbang. I'm not about to do whatever it is like the people who came before me. And that's how we change the cycle. We have to change the belief system, the mentality. We have to get our values back in order. It's the only way, folks. And any quote unquote leader who is saying anything other than that, who is preaching anything other than personal agency, that individual is not for your good. They don't give a damn about you. They don't give a damn about your best and highest good. They're selling you a narrative of your victimhood in order for them to benefit from it. BLM, first summer, they pop out of nowhere, right? First, the George Floyd summer, $90 million made in one summer from donations. Where's the money now? We're going to do this. We got to change this. We got to change that. So, okay, y'all defunded the police, y'all collected all these funds, and y'all bought mansions in California, in white neighborhoods, mind you, right? That's what y'all did. Y'all went on vacations. Y'all bought all kinds of expensive luxury goods. Oh, but that's an anomaly. No, it's not the anomaly. Go to Al Sharpton. Go to Jesse Jackson. Go to any of these individuals' history and see. You know, somebody tried to call me a grifter one time. Oh, speaking for the white man, speaking for the white man. I said, do you know how easy it would be for me to just pander as a black man? I get attacked for saying these things because I'm black. If I just pandered like a Kamala Harris or whatever it may be, if I just pandered like D.L. Hughley or Charlemagne or one of these charlatans, I would have black folks praising me. But instead, I choose to tell the truth because I am beholden to the truth and nothing else. It would be so easy for me to just pander. It's like the same thing with relationship advice. You know, if I just pandered to women and told y'all, you know, you're perfect, you ain't got to do nothing, you never have to change. You are the table, you are the kitchen cabinet, you are the sink, you are the curtains, you're the drapes. No, I'm not going to tell you that. There's likely that you have to do things in order to get the relationship that you want. And that means introspection. That means healing from certain traumas. That means showing up differently in the world. You can't show up with all of the attitude and all of the, you know, rah-rah energy and get what you want out of a relationship situation. You got to step into your feminine. I'm going to say these things because it's the truth, not because it's going to get me popular. Trust me, if I was just after popularity, I promise you, all I would have to say all day till I'm damn blue in the face, all day long, you know, the white man is after you. The white man, see, the system of white supremacy, it's not even the white man necessarily, it's the system of white supremacy that has infiltrated every single one of our institutions. That is the reason why you can't get your ass out of bed. If it was not for the white man, your ass would be out of the bed and you would be grinding towards your future, but you can't do any of that because of the white supremacist system. You see, if it wasn't for the constructs of colonial whiteness and your self-hatred and deprecation due to the white man, you would actually do what you said you were going to do for the last 10 years, every single New Year's. You understand? That's all that is. It's not you. You know what I mean? You can't help yourself. You can't make a different decision for yourself to do something different. The reason why you are obese morbidly is because of white supremacy. It's white supremacy, not the fact that you continue to stuff your mouth filled with things that are going to lead you to be. It's not because you continue to fill yourself up like a gas gauge or a gas tank and carbohydrates or your oil or your fuel. It's not because of that. It's not because you're not getting yourself in the gym when you say you're going to, or keeping an actual regimen to work out and continue to move your body. Less calories in than you. It's not any of that. Surely it's not that. It's the white man. If I sat here and said that, talk slick all day, I would have a massive following of individuals who would be cheering me on. Oh, yes, King. Yes, King. How do I know that? Because before I was. And I wasn't even looking to pander. I didn't know what type of energy I was putting. I didn't know what type of audience I was drawing. I lost 1,500 followers the day before from the day before the election until the 6th. So like in a 3-day period, I lost 1,500 followers on IG. But the worst part was people going in on me. Now, it was actually technically a freeing experience, but I didn't know. I was like, damn, all of y'all, whoa. And I didn't do nothing. It wasn't nothing crazy, nothing severe, nothing like that. It was an actual comedy video that I put out, a skit, a little 20, 30-second joint. And people were going off. I said, oh my God, this is new. This is definitely new. I said, oh, because y'all listen to my information about relationships, self-love, and y'all didn't think I was talking about you. You thought I was talking about everybody else needs to do these things. Oh, you were using this as a means to, oh, okay, gotcha. I created a community filled with narcissists. Okay, oops. My bad. Recalibrate. That's what I had to do. And so again, folks, slavery, every group of people has experienced it at scale. People look at them pyramids in Egypt and they want to believe that the person who built them pyramids was the aliens, not wanting to face the fact that it was hundreds of thousands, if not in the millions of slaves. Remember the story of Moses, whether, you believe it's real or not, but they were talking about how the reason why Moses had to run away is because he ended up unaliving one of the slavers, the slave masters, who was whipping one of the slaves. He was being whooped. So you believe that whipping just was invented in the 1700s? There was an infrastructure of slavery on the African coasts because they're already doing it within their own spaces. You go into the Eurasian continent of Europe or Asia, it was already happening. The Ottoman Empire, already happening. You go into the ancient Sumerians if you want to, already happening. That's why it's written all up in the Bible. They weren't talking about no damn 16, 1700s. They were talking about 6,000, 7,000 years ago, 5,000 years ago. Yeah. It's unfortunate. It's a dark stain. But when we allow that to be the story that holds us back, we're just using as an excuse, to be honest. And I'm done with excuses, not just because they're annoying. Like, that's one thing. They're annoying as hell. But it's keeping you away from the thing that you actually want. And that's the worst part for me, is to see people stuck throughout their entire lives. There's nothing worse than to see somebody in the same place every single year. I know what that feeling is like, and I hate that feeling. I hate that feeling. To say, damn, I went by another 3-5 years and I have nothing to show for it. What, I got some cool little swag? Oh, I bought some cool little stuff here and there, but I got nothing to show for it? Absolutely not. I'm going to give myself over to my purpose. I'm going to give myself over to my mission. I'm going to devote myself to my own life. Stop being a hater. Stop pocket watching. Stop doing all these types of things. Stop blaming everybody else. And buckle down and do what I got to do to make things happen, period. Simple as that. Appreciate y'all for tuning in. Make sure to drink more water. We all need more water in our life. If we're going to do anything today, just drink more water. Till next time, peace.
I used to be afraid of the dark, place unknown like a heart in their heart. I used to see my life in the bar. Now the kids unchained, every shackle is lost. 2 steps in the moonlight, 2-step in the daytime. You just know when it feel right. You got a feeling the time's not. See you through those shades that I just threw on. Through my lenses, you just can't do no wrong. fell in love with myself again. I fell in love with myself. I fell in love with the sunshine. I fell in love with the light. I fell in love with the full moon. I fell in love with the night. I can see the light.